Attending today's live webinar. It is 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hello. Once again, thank you for attending today's live webinar with Code as Boss. Shalon Douglas, thank you for coming in and tuning in to Act Like a Boss, Think Like an Investor, today's live webinar event. I thank everyone for being able to take the time out to come and to learn about some of the rules of what it takes to build brands and to transfer them into investment opportunities. I am your host, Shalon Douglas, also known as your Code as Boss. I hope you came to take notes, listen intently, and if you have questions, we'll hold them to the end. Again, thank you so much for attending tonight's live webinar with Shalon Douglas, Code as Boss. I'd like to welcome each and every single one of you, and just go ahead and start to dive right in. This webinar is for creative entrepreneurs, brand influencers, startup founders, and business model designers, here to assist you of what it takes to drive brands from innovations investments, also known as going from a startup to a scale up with your business model, and the rules that it takes to build this shit. For those of you who do not know me, I've been in the industry for quite some time, for at least over 10 years. And I wanted to be able to create a platform to be able to give back to entrepreneurs who are stuck in their endeavors, whether it's from the startup stage or whether it's right from the early stage of raising capital to scale up in your business model. So tonight's live webinar is for you if you are the creative entrepreneur who has anything as a creative, such as a product, a brand, or even just an experience. You have something that you have basically built as an innovative product or solution to your own audience, and you may be feeling stuck and needing some assistance in how to scale up in your business model endeavors. Also, too, for the brand influencer, you might be the face of your brand. You might be an influencer to where you make an impact to your community, and you might have some issues, or you might be stuck in how to grow your influence to be able to leverage off of your audience, which is also known as your consumers and customers, and I'll get into that shortly. Also, too, for my startup founders, you might have already developed your business model, and depending on where you're at, you might be stuck in some of the roadblocks as far as raising capital or how to gain clients, or maybe not having the right type of team, lacking capacity. I'm here to assist you with that this evening. And then finally, for our business model designers, for those of you who are at the point to where you have scaled from the bottom as far as a startup to where you might have even be past your bootstrap stage position of your business model, and maybe right now you're trying to prepare to go before investors so that you can raise capital. I'm here to assist you with that this evening as well. So with all further ado, I like to also mention that in order to achieve your goals, depending on what they are as your end goals and strategies, that it is rules to this shit. And because it is rules to this shit, there's levels to this shit when it comes to being a boss. You must know how to play by the rules in order to win by the rules. And so often I see a lot of entrepreneurs, my creative entrepreneurs, that are not applying the rules appropriately, either because A, they either don't know, most of the times is that they don't know, and then second, not having the right business mind or the right mindset in order to be able to go forward in your endeavors, to proceed forward to apply the rules. Just think about when you play a game, right? There's levels to every game that you play. And when you first start off with playing a game, you have to start off with the first level before you can go to the second level, before you can go to the highest level, whatever game that might be. Same thing with building your business, creating a brand, leveraging the position of that. You have to know what the rules are, and there's no getting around that. Okay, you must know what the rules are, and you have to know how to apply them, and you have to know when to apply the appropriate rule with the appropriate level that you're playing on. So I'm here to kind of give you some insight on that. Okay, so first and foremost, before I go forward with the rules, let's know this first. It's one thing to know the rules, but it's also another thing to know how to apply the rules. Before I move forward to explain or expound on what some of these rules are and how do you apply them, I like to first introduce myself to some of you who may not know who I am. My name is Shalon Douglas, and I have a passion for helping others to create opportunities. I am the founder and CEO to Digital Marks Group, where we provide business strategies as well as business acceleration to entrepreneurs to help them expedite their growth with their minimum viable product. I'm also known as, oh my gosh, my template went ahead of me, you guys, sorry about that. I'm also known and recognized as a change agent and trailblazer. I've been acknowledged and recognized by White House, previous President Barack Obama, as well as LA's Mayor Eric Garcetti, as well as the National Sales Network, which is a national network for sales professionals and entrepreneurs, mostly for spearheading global initiatives. Some of such known as SOLA, Startup Weekend, which is a global initiative to also assisting with Families Coalition of Fathers and Families Coalition of America with some of their global initiatives in spearheading being over a project as far as tech development, app development, brand solutions, creative directors, so on and so forth. I've been interviewed on numerous television shows, media stream shows, live stream shows, as well as main network stream shows. Also have a few feature publications written by different commentators such as Dr. Boyce Watkins, published in Lubbock Career Journal magazine, and so forth and so on. So just to kind of give you just a little bit of my background as far as who I am and how I love helping others to create opportunities. I also like to go ahead at this point and just share just a little bit of my backstory, which is how I'm even able to help you today. At the age of 19 is where I first got my experience with being able to understand the power of equity. That is when I had the privilege and the opportunity to be mentored and invested into my first real estate property, and through that investment earned $25,000 quicker than I could close the deal. I had never had that type of experience at such a young age, but it was the beginning to my door opening to becoming an expert in the industry of real estate and mortgage lending, which I fell in love with very quickly. And when I understood how to play those rules at such an early age, I obviously learned how to repeat the same strategy, which led me to my next endeavor of my path of understanding the power of mentorship. It was through at the age of, I would say, like 22, I believe it was, is when I had the opportunity and actually got the push and the nudge from a great mentor of mine who basically told me I could handle being an entrepreneur at 100% capacity. I was still kind of dibbing and dabbing as an entrepreneur, but I still had a full-time job because I totally was just not all in and had somewhat of fear set inside of me of going all the way as becoming an entrepreneur at 100%. So, let me see. I just got a text message that you guys can't hear anything. Let's see. If anyone can type a message, if you can hear me now. On my end, it says that you guys can hear me, but I just received a text message saying that you can't. Okay, I just got another message saying it's not the platform that you can hear me. So I would suggest for those who cannot hear me, please try to download the app again or refresh your browser so that you can hear me. I'm receiving several chats and texts that you can hear me, so I'm going to proceed forward. Thank you so much for helping me out, you guys. Appreciate it. Okay. So I believe I was talking about when I became the age of 22, how I was privileged enough to have a great mentor by my side who gave me the nudge to be able to go all in with both feet to becoming a full-time entrepreneur. And if it wasn't for such, I mean, I would have missed out on a great opportunity. I'm so happy. And the point of me even sharing this with you is because of the fact that I really promote having a mentor as assistance and guidance, and not try to cut corners without having one, because it can save you so much trouble, it can save you so much dollars and waste of time, and help you to scale and get to where you're trying to accomplish with your goals a lot faster. So with that being said, at the age of 22, I decided to go ahead and start my own business. And I remember being asked to write a check of where I would like to see as far as income within a year. And so I remember that writing that check, I had wrote it for such a low amount, not realizing or not actually believing or wondering if I could reach that goal. And that check was written for $100,000 at that time, you guys, which is so low to me right now. But that check was written for $100,000 that I had wished to receive or see myself making within a year. Well, needless to say, that not only did I accomplish that goal, but I surpassed it. And in less than 12 months, I accomplished making $500,000 within 6 months. So through the power of mentorship, guidance, and assistance, it was one of the best things that could have ever happened to me to open up the next door to the chapters of my life, which leads me to go into the power of bootstrapping. It was through opening up my own firm and running a day-to-day operation. And the first time of me doing this, but still having mentorship and guidance, I had no idea what it took to go from one level to the next. All I know is at that time, I was doing very well in my establishment from day-to-day operations, receiving referrals because of giving excellent customer service. But it was through that, as I went through the process and experience, that I learned the power of bootstrapping, how I utilized or leveraged, I should say, my own credit to help me to go levels up in regards to obtaining capital to be able to carry my business forward, as well as still receiving and making my own income as an independent mortgage loan officer at that point. So I wanted to just share these few things with you, give you somewhat of my background and share these things with you, because it's behind the experience and what I've had the opportunity to go through for myself personally is why I'm here today speaking to you, and also how I created my own platform to be able to offer to other entrepreneurs in the field. So I like to ask you a question. And that question is, how many commas is your business worth? I'm not sure how many of you have your own business at this time, or even what your own goals are if you do have a business. But I do know that you have to know your end right from the beginning. So I like to pose that question to people, because sometimes I know for myself, I didn't start off with having a goal of how much I wanted to see my company worth, or how big of a valuation I saw my company holding its position at that time. Not realizing that me not having that, or even if that's you today, if you don't have that goal set before you from the beginning, how will you know how high or what level or how high you can go in playing the rules to being able to become at the, or being able to reach the highest level of entrepreneurship that exists. So I want you to think about that throughout this webinar tonight. What boss level are you at, and what is your end goal? What I like to do is I like to explain the differences of the levels of its rules to this shit as being a boss. Just because you might have a business, or you might go file a DBA, or you might form a corporation and say that you're a business owner, that's great, but what level of bosshood are you at? So for a lot of us, whether we realize it or not, there's 3 levels of entrepreneurship. Let me get into what those levels are. The first one, where a lot of individuals hold the position of, is being a solopreneur. And that's one who owns a position. You do not own necessarily a establishment where it's more than just you, but you do own your own position, where you might be an independent contractor, you might be a hairstylist, you might be a barber, something of that sort, to where you own a position. You do not have any systems or processes in place. You do not have a platform or even an EIN number that's assigned to your company. And even if you do have an EIN number, if you have an EIN number that's assigned to you doing a business as known as a DBA, and do not have a formed corporation, you are still considered a solopreneur. Now, for our next level in the game, it is what most of us are used to hearing is known as an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is one who owns a platform, okay? When you own a platform, it's 2 people, that includes you and so forth, that have a position within your company or your establishment. However, your company cannot run itself without you being involved. So really, as an entrepreneur at this level of the game, you are one who owns a job inside of your own establishment. Your company has to have you inside of it in order for it to continue to operate and to thrive. You have really no scalable business model at this point, and nor are you at the level of owning a portfolio of diversified assets, which leads me into going into the next level, which is considered our highest level of entrepreneurship, which is what I love the most. And to me, this is what a boss really stands for with owning a portfolio. BOSS, BOSS, stands for Businesspreneurs Owning Strategic Systems, okay? So as a businesspreneur, you have accomplished, you are at a level to where you own a leveraging system. A system is one that's scalable, that does not require you to have to be inside of your company. It is ran and managed by others that report to you, and it is duplicatable to where, and it's scalable to where it doesn't require so much of a capacity, meaning how many people you have to have in place as your business grows. Your business can grow at a fast pace without the lack of the number of bodies or team associates that you have to have in order to grow your business versus scaling your business. Which leads me to the next point. You own a scalable business model. So a scalable business model is for sure ran or has some type of technology foundation or basis to it, to where you're able to scale and become a global. At this point, you can run a scalable global business model, making you a minimum of 21 plus streamlines of income. Yes, you heard me say 21. When you have a scalable business model that's running off of a leveraging system, it allows you to put that many number of streamlines of income in place, which is lovely. And I know when I say that to some, they eyes open up wide, because they're not used to hearing 21 plus or 21 streamlines of income. For the most part, a lot of people are used to hearing 6 to 7 or 8 or 9 streamlines of income. But I'm here to tell you that when you own a system that is built into a scalable business model, you can make a minimum of 21. And I said minimum. So if I'm saying minimum, that means you can make double the amount of streamlines of income. And I can get into showing you how to do that. In addition to that, because you know your end goal from the beginning, you also have an exit strategy. And that's another, I would say another disposition that I see people have in regards to not knowing if something happens to you or if something were to happen to you, what is the exit strategy? Or maybe your goal might be to do a merger and acquisition, or maybe your business might scale so big to where someone wants to come and buy you out. Those type of things that you need to know right from the beginning in order to endeavor and go to your highest level of entrepreneurship. And if that is to happen, that's a great position to be in. And you can always repeat it and duplicate the same process. Once you know the rules, you can apply them over and over and over again. So with that being said, a lot of times what happens or what causes our issues of not being able to propel forward or to scale or to go forward from one level to the next is because we lack something, right? We lack one thing, two things, maybe all of these things that I'm pointing out. But the point is, you're lacking a skill set or a niche, or maybe you lack the tools that's necessary for you to run your business. You may lack resources, partnerships, capacity, which a capacity means your team. You don't have enough people to assist you with being able to run your day-to-day operation. A big part that happens for most of us is we lack capital. A lot of times, businesses that get started are not running after 2 years or maybe up into the point of 2 years because they lack capital in order to proceed forward in their everyday operations. And that's another reason why too, when people go to apply for business loans, a lot of times financial institutions, they want to know if you've been in business for at least 2 years, because it's a rule of thumb that a lot of businesses go out of, or a lot of people go out of business in less than 2 years because of the fact that they have to shut their doors down due to lack of capital. And then finally, also a lack of customers. If you do not have consumers or customers being able to generate incomes or that working capital that you need to run your business, then that also too can be an uphill battle for your overall goal. Now, in addition to lacking some of the things that I just mentioned to you guys, another big part of that hinders our growth with our business modeling as creative entrepreneurs is that we lack brand positioning. The brand positioning of what you have to offer is just all the way wrong. There are so many mistakes that I see on a everyday basis when it comes to positioning your brand to become relevant. And I say to people all the time, if it was easy, right? And really, it's not that it's hard, it's just that people do not know the rules and how to apply them. But when you don't know how to position your brand, then you obviously are not going to become relevant or be relevant. And that relevant turns into number two, the lack of influence with your marketplace. If there's no relevancy due to a lack of branding, then you are not going to be able to grow your influence with your brand, whether it's your sphere of influence, your product that you're trying to brand, or your business that you're trying to brand. If there's no relevancy, then there's no way that you're going to grow within your marketplace. You'll just drown within sight of a crowded marketplace, and your competitors who understand the rules and how to apply them will beat you out of the game every single time. Finally, number three, that makes you not in demand with the services that you have to provide to your target market or to your audience. So if you're not in demand due to the lack of your brand and not being relevant, then that's most certainly going to hinder your efforts in being able to grow your brand and your business model. Therefore, not being able to have the opportunity to or opportunities, period, right? Whether it's from your consumers, your customers, or your backers, or even partners, people who may even want to partner up with you. Everybody wants to be attached to something that's valuable, that has equity. And that's what I'm here to share with you guys today. Now, when you have all of those different lacks of tools and resources, as well as how to position your brand and not knowing how to become relevant and how to leverage all of that, as a creative entrepreneur, the main thing that it does is causes so much stress, right? To where you wind up folding, you wind up giving up, you wind up, and that's another thing too that I want to say. You know, when you are going about starting your business or whatever it is that you're doing to create a brand or product, and that could be anything from within, you know, I'm just thinking about depending on what industry you're in and what you're doing, whether it's tech, a tech solution, or maybe you're a coach and you want to be able to offer coach classing, mentorships, or anything like that. When you don't know how to properly apply these rules, it causes a creator's block, which is associated to stress and frustration. And then it causes confusion and anger. And then therefore you start making poor judgment due to, you know, being desperate. And then you begin to have a lack of passion for something you started out with so much fire, right, in the beginning. So I'm just saying to you people, listen, it doesn't have to be that way. It's rules to this shit. If you just learn the rules and then know how to apply them, you'll start to see progression. And even in doing so, I like to always say this too: have patience with yourself in your development. If you want overnight results, right? I look at that as cooking a dinner in a microwave versus the oven. I always use that analogy to compare. If I invite you over to my home for a Thanksgiving dinner, would you like for me to prepare your dinner over the stove and in an oven to where you're going to be able to enjoy all the juices and flavor that and hard work that I put into that meal? Or would you prefer for me to cook that meal inside of the microwave and serve it to you that way? That's one way to look at developing your brand, as well as around your brand, developing an innovative business model and getting it ready and prepared to deliver to your customers, consumers, and investors. You guys, please really take heed to that, because I see so many people who lack the patience in that. And if you lack patience, I can just tell you that being an entrepreneur, that's not real entrepreneur DNA in your blood, because it's going to take time if you want something that is of a strong, sound position with moving forward to the highest level of entrepreneurship. So now that I've told you or shared with you about how you got to know the rules, it's rules to the shit because there's levels to the shit. I want to share with you what some of these rules are, and then next share with you how to apply some of these rules. Okay. So rule number one, I'm just trying to make sure you guys can see the same thing. Yes. Rule number one, positioning. You got to know how to position your brand in order to gain value. If you do not know how to position your brand, it is not going to gain value, which value turns into equity. I'm going to get into that in a little bit. Rule number two, you have to know how to leverage that value in order to get investor backing. Think about this for 1 second, okay? Since my background is within real estate lending, mortgage and lending, I like to use this analogy to help my clients today as far as what I do as far as designing brands and building equitable business brands for their business models, okay? If you were to purchase a piece of property for $500,000, and let's just say a year from today of purchasing that piece of property, what is the number one thing that people enjoy the most when it comes to owning a piece of real estate? Isn't it wonderful to know that today you bought a piece of property for $500,000 and in exactly 1 year from now, that same piece of property has gained in its value up to $1 million, now earning you at least another $500,000 in equity? That is huge. So if you have a piece of real estate, and that real estate today that we're speaking of is your business model, right? And what you have to offer as far as your real estate. What you do today to position your brand and in your business model. Now, let me say this too. A brand is not anything that you own, but you are responsible for how you position your brand. Your brand is not your real estate. Your product, however, of which you have to offer, or that you create as intellectual property, that is your real estate that you own. So when you know how to position that through your brand, then you can properly gain equity out of the value of what you have to offer, so that way that gives you your business valuation that earns to a certain dollar amount, giving you a certain number of commas of how much your business is worth, which you heard me ask you from the onset. How many commas is your business worth? Okay. So finally, rule number 3 would be scaling. You have to know, or know how an investor backing can scale. You have to know how investor backing can scale your business. Excuse me for getting tongue-tied. So if you do not know how to position your value to gain equity that you now can leverage, then you're not going to be able to appropriately position your business model to get investor backing in order to scale in your business. Now, let me say this too. Investors are not only savvy investors who you might think of, people who write a check to give you money to grow your business or to scale your business. Your investors are also your customers, your consumers, or your clients. Those are your investors as well. So if you do not know how to properly position to be able to leverage, then you're not going to be able to get the capital, which is one of those C's that you heard me mention, right? Which is what you need, especially if you're looking to raise capital. Investors, now savvy investors, they're going to want to know how real of a product that you have. And what tells them what's real is by either the number of eyeballs that you have that is influenced by your brand that can be turned into dollar signs, or the number of customers that's already buying into the product that you have as a solution. Okay. So now here's the juicy part. Now that I've introduced to you what the 3 rules are that you need to know, right, to properly get started, now I want to get into how you apply these 3 rules, right, in order to accomplish success. So with the first one, with me asking, or basically me pointing out, we need to know how to position your brand in order to gain value. You got to know from the beginning what the end goal is for your brand. You heard me say that already. So in doing so, that's going to allow you to create what we call immersive content. Okay. How you position your brand to gain value is number 1, by creating immersive content. Now, for those of you who may not understand or do not know what I mean by immersive, I'm talking about content that is of wow factors, content that is engaging, content that is consuming, that creates frequency. And frequency is when people can't get enough of what you have to offer through your content. When you can create immersive content for your audience, you begin to create a strong brand. And that strong brand is built into your purpose, which is what you have to know from the beginning. Your purpose is tied into your end goals too. Okay. So from your strong brand, it now goes to the next way you apply is relevancy. So through creative immersive content, it helps you to create a strong brand, which now creates relevancy to you. Relevancy is stemmed off of the interactions that are a part of your brand. And what I mean by interactions is the number of people who come or keep coming, which is that frequency, keep coming to want to dive in more of what you have to offer because they can't get enough of it. Now, one of the ways that you position the interactions to creating relevancy to a strong brand is really understanding storytelling and how that works. That is very key, okay? Please make sure you write that down. Storytelling is extremely key, which is also known as a brand trap. You want to be able to, when you're creating your immersive content, let me just say this for you guys. It's not about just creating immersive content, it's about having a strategy behind this. Your strategy is, again, is built into a purpose. So when you understand these rules that I'm giving you and how to properly apply them, I can promise you, you're going to wind up having a successful turnout with your brand tied into your business model, okay? Rule number 2, to how you leverage the value to getting investor backing. Again, you heard me just say storytelling. Marketing the story, telling it appropriately. Like, think about it when you were kids. What was the number one thing that we always liked whenever we were read a book by our parents or at the babysitters or in preschool or, you know, common elementary school? We loved it when it was story time. Well, it's the same thing as such even today as grown-ups, right? All marketing that you see, whether it is commercials, whether it's a music video, a TV show or film, it's all telling a story and how that story is directed, right? So when you know how to properly tell your story and market it, it's going to give you so much value to where it's going to gain that equity. And that equity to us in the industry is known as the number of eyeballs that you have interacting with your brand or whatever it is you have to offer. So the number of eyeballs with your consumers, customers, clients, and or fans is very huge. And I'm telling you, whether you do not even have a customer, but maybe might have fans, if you got 1 million people following you, trust me when I tell you, investors are going to be ready to still invest into you because they know how to turn those eyeballs into dollars, okay? And then finally, number 3, how to position the value into a scalable, known as leveraging business model. So let me go from the top to the bottom. Creating an immersive brand gives you creating immersive content gives you a strong brand tied into your purpose. It gives you relevancy that is stemmed off of interactions because you know how to tell a story to brand trap them. Because of telling a story, you've now gained brand value that turns into equity because the equity, what I'm introducing to you, is known as your consumers, customers, and clients. The number of eyeballs that you have engaged into your brand that's also able to be leveraged and converted into dollars. And so with that, you're able to position and leverage that as a scalable business model with investors who will now they'll just give you checks because they can see, first of all, as an investor too, let me say this too, if you don't know, if you do not have a solution or something to offer that can earn an investor at least a 10-time return, a minimum of a 10-time return on their investment, it's time to go back to the drawing table. Investors, savvy investors, if they're not making at least a minimum of 10 times return on their initial investment with you, they're not going to entertain whatever it is you have to offer, okay? So know that going forward. Now, when you know these rules and now you know how to apply them, the ultimate purpose of doing all of these things to reach the highest level of entrepreneurship known as a businesspreneur is so that leveraging the value known as your proposition into an immersive, engaging brand can be positioned into an equitable, scalable business model known as your real estate that's relevant to your investors, which is your customers, consumers, and backers. So I just went through in detail the rules that you need to know. I promise you, you need to know those 3 rules, and then you need to know how to apply them in order to start properly from the beginning to reach the ultimate goal, whatever goal that might be for you. And then once you receive that, understand that, and know how to apply that, then the active methodology behind that is to duplicate that and turn it into a system. So you would know how to position, you will know how to leverage, you'll know how to invest. And then what you're gonna do after that, you're gonna repeat the same methodology, not just method, but active, meaning like actually putting things into place and turning that into a system that is now becoming managed by others that allows you to own a portfolio. And let me say this, ultimately, you want to know how to own a portfolio. How many of you would love to be in Rihanna's position right now? I am so proud of Rihanna. She has hit that $1 billion valuation status. You want to know why? Because of all the rules that I just introduced to you guys and how to apply them. That's exactly what happened for her, and not just her, but others who knew how to leverage a platform, okay? So when was the last time you heard Rick Ross, or I know I'm saying Rihanna and Rick Ross and Jay-Z. I know that those are entertainers in the industry, but also too, like the LeBron James, right? How he just hit $1 billion valuation. Take a time out and think about how all these individuals are interested in hitting that $1 billion valuation mark. If any of you are thinking $1 billion, that's just too high for me, I don't think I can accomplish that, I'm here to tell you to stop selling yourself short. And yes, you can accomplish that. You can easily accomplish. There's so many other billionaires who exist that we do not know of, right? They're not in the limelight as being a celebrity or entertainer of sort. But guess what? They are businesspreneurs because they understand how to apply the rules. They know or knew what it took. And then once they knew that, they just duplicated that over and over and over again as a system to earn a portfolio. So when we say own a portfolio based off the system or systems that you have created that you own, we're now talking about diversified financial vehicles that you own in addition to your own business. When you are becoming an entrepreneur, I would hope that the end goal would be to set your retirement in place, knowing what it's going to take to set that retirement in place for you. Being able to have financial freedom. And I'm not saying it's anything wrong for working for anyone, because sometimes you got to do what you got to do in order to finance your dreams. But at least let that be known that you're working for someone for a short period of time to be able to finance your dreams of owning your financial freedom. It makes no sense to work 40 hours a week for 40 years only to come out with a 40% of retirement, hopefully, if that money is there and through pensions by the time you get ready to retire. And then maybe in that case, you might have what? If we say the normal life expectancy is about 78 and you have to come out of retirement of 65, that only allows you 13 years to enjoy your life on a very tight budget. So I want to be able to at least get inside your mindset so that you can know all you have to do is know the rules and know how to apply them and start off the right way so that you can create something that's innovative and immersive, to create that brand that can create that value that can turn into equity that could be leveraged. And now you're well on your way to owning a scalable business model, making you 21 plus streamlines of income, to owning you a system that's now owning your portfolio. Okay. I know I just said a lot in one whop, but trust me, I've seen this over and over and over again. It works. But if you try to cut corners and you try to cut corners and misapply the rules, I'm gonna tell you, the rules are gonna teach you better than anybody else can. So you don't have to listen to me, but you will listen to the rules if you don't follow them appropriately. Therefore, what I have to offer and present to you next is something that this is dear to my heart. This is something that me and my entire team and partners and collaborators, we have put together for creative entrepreneurs to be able to assist them not only in building a surefire brand, driving brands from innovations to investments, but wanting to make sure that it's to let you guys know that it's more than just putting together a brand. Ultimately, that's what you need to do from the onset, but you want to be able to build that brand into an equitable position that can be leveraged off of so that you can reach the highest level of entrepreneurship and be a real boss, okay? So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you at this time a platform that was created, and it's called the Encompass, or also known as Encompass, okay? Encompass is a platform that was built for creative entrepreneurs based off of what level you are at the moment. It is Encompass form, fund, or scale memberships that we offer in addition to services that we offer based off of where you are at within your business endeavor or your brand. We have put together memberships for the creative entrepreneur, whether you are at the position to where you're just getting started, you have nothing in place, you have nothing in place but maybe an idea. And for some of you, maybe you don't even have an idea, because sometimes that happens as well, right? But even in that, that's called ideation. It's a process for that. But nevertheless, for our memberships that we have available with Encompass, we have not only just memberships, but we have courses and programs that we are offering to each level of membership, as well as opportunities to help individuals to not only get started, but to also raise capital for their needs wherever they are at within their business endeavor, in addition to helping them to scale and raise capital with some of our private investors that are looking to get behind some of you guys and back what you have going on and be early adopters in the game. So I'm excited to introduce this to you. This is something that was not put together overnight. This platform had actually we got started in this about 6 years ago, and it's just now being presented to the world. So you heard me say 6 years ago. This is 2021. We initially started the idea and the beginning of putting this model into place back in 2015. This platform will help you to innovate your brand. It will also help you to position that brand to where you can know how to invest into your business model. So we teach you different things as far as like how to bootstrap, how to property leverage your personal credit to being a guarantor and helping your business to build its own credit to where it will no longer need you as a personal guarantor. But when you're getting started, you're gonna have to put some skin in the game. So if you lack capital, there are ways to being able to generate resources and capacity and capital of helping you to scale to another position or go levels up in your business. So based off of what I'm trying to say is based off of where you're at, we have something for each level of the game, so where we can help you to play the rules to whatever level you are at. And then finally, we will encompass your boss system. So pretty much what that means is that if you allow us to work with you, depending on where you're at, we actually can help you to get into a scalable position to where we have investors that will back your business brand and your business model. But then from there, because there's different stages of capital raising. So whether you are at the pre-seed stage, the early stage, or seed stage, that is still not where it stops with us. We have access within our network to help you raise even more capital. And this, again, this is according to whatever your end goal is, right? If that is to whatever the exit strategy is, and if that is to be acquired by a bigger player in the game at some point, or if you want to hold a position and you want to do a merger situation with another company, or it just depends on what you want to do, what your exit strategy is. We have not only the platform to assist you, but we also have the resources and we also have the networks. So that's what Encompass is all about. And that's the reason why you see income, because we are truly about the 360 degree, the whole entire circle of what it takes from beginning to ending, right? To being able to scale out, to put you into a whole nother realm of entrepreneurship known as being a top boss. Okay. In addition to the platform of what we have to offer, we also offer additional services known as the Ritz-Carlton of professional services. We provide business advisory as well as business valuations. We also do business loans for our clients that might be in a different situation. You might be in a stage to where you're not at a startup stage. You might have been in business for at least 3+ years, maybe 5 years, and you just want to get some assistance with getting loans for your business. We assist with that as well. We do corporate formations as well as branding and marketing. We offer digital production, project management services, real estate services for all, being whether it's commercial real estate. Believe it or not, you never know, if you scale to a certain point, at some point, you're not going to want to rent anybody's office space. You're going to eventually want to buy, most likely, your own building and have other tenants, right, rent from you. Wouldn't that be nice? And also, in addition to that, mortgage lending services. So we pretty much, offer a lot in regards to services, along with courses and programs, in addition to our memberships. Okay, really nice, really, really nice. And with that being said, my goal and purpose for you who have attended and who are interested is to help you know your why, okay? Knowing your why is understanding the purpose of what you have to offer with your value proposition. If you don't know your why, and I tell all of my clients, you need to know that first. Your why. If you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, then you're moving without a purpose. And if you're moving without a purpose, then you're lost, okay? So be clear in your offer and know what it is that you have to offer in your value proposition. Next, I want you to know your what, okay? You need to know the solution to what you're offering. Be an expert at what you have to offer. If you are not an expert, but you want people to buy or invest into what you're offering, it's going to come through that you don't know what the hell it is that you're really offering, and people are not going to trust what it is that you have to offer. So you want to be able to gain the trust through your brand, and through your brand being clear on what it is that you have to offer. And in doing such, you need to know the solution and exactly how it's going to help the other person, right? And making their life better, or providing something to make their life easier. Be clear on your offer. Next, know your who. Be clear on your target market and who it is. You need to be very specific to who you're talking to. I know sometimes, a lot of times, people might say, oh, but my product and what I have to offer really helps everybody. That might be very true, but when you're getting started, and especially in building a strong brand, you want to narrow it down to a niche market. For an example, if you have a product or service that caters to attorneys or doctors, Be specific. There's different types of attorneys. There's different types of doctors. I'm just giving you guys some examples. For such, if you're catering to an attorney, are you talking to family, divorce attorneys? Are you talking to estate attorneys, real estate attorneys? Like, be specific to and narrow it down to a niche. Be very clear to who you are talking to. And here's a hint to that. If you are talking to your audience that represents you, that helps you out a whole lot to be able to service your ideal customer, because you're talking to you. You know the language, you know the pain points, you know what's needed. And if you created that solution to provide a need to this as a service, then you're going to soar. So know your who and be very specific and start out with a niche before you go before you automate or scale, right? Next, know your when. Know when is the appropriate time to launch your offering so you can win. If you do, you can put together an entire model. You can put together a decent brand. But guess what? And I'm telling you guys, I know this from hands-on experience. If you do not have an audience or a list of clients and customers to market to, then you've done all that work to still be not heard because nobody even knows that you're out there and that you exist. Okay. So know when to appropriately launch a brand and how to phase it out or roll it out as you launch. Okay. You want to make sure you have a certain number of audience so then that way immediately those eyeballs, remember I talked about eyeballs, those eyeballs can turn into dollars, okay, and return on your investment. Finally, know your how. Know how to get access to networks, the right networks, partners, the right partners, capital, resources, tools, and so on and so forth. You have to know how to leverage in order to scale. It is so much easier if you have the right partner so that when you launch or you belong to the right networks, you have double the amount of people to get in front of by way of association and having access to. That's going to make your life so much easier. So please, I can't stress that enough. When you know the rules and you know how to apply them, and then you get results and you know how to leverage out of that equity, I can assure you, you'll be so happy that you didn't cut corners and that you'll be on your way to truly being able to see a return on your investments. You'll be able to see your system start to take on shape and form. You'll be able to see customers and have an influence amongst your ideal clients. And next thing you know, opportunities are coming to you, knocking on your door, ringing the doorbell, sounding the alarms. It'll be opportunities to where sometimes you might have to turn down some of those opportunities. I'm just gonna keep it real. You know, it just depends, but who wants to do that, right? But knowing how to own a system and knowing how to leverage a scalable business model and generating those 21 plus streamlines of income, let me tell you, that is the true definition of being a boss. So without further ado, if I have grabbed any of your interest and if you would love to work with me and my network and come on over and interested in becoming a member, please email us at info@theencompass.com so that we can go ahead and have a conversation. We do discovery calls. We want to make sure we don't just let you, and that's another thing too, we don't just let you become a member just right off the spot. We want to be able to make sure you're going into the right and appropriate membership status to where you can get the right, correct, and necessary assistance so that with the rules that can be applied correctly so that you can definitely, you know, be able to drive your innovation into an investment opportunity, okay? I really enjoyed speaking with you guys at this time. I really do hope that you've learned something from this live webinar today and or at least walking away learning what the rules are and how to apply them. It's been really nice speaking to all of you, and I hope to see you on the other side. And without further ado, please, I want to leave you with this, that wealth is a mindset, because it's rules to the shit. Your business is a bridge. Leveling up is a requirement. Getting unstuck is a requirement, but financial shifting is a choice. Let me help you with your opportunities today. Email me at info@theencompass.com, and I look so very much forward to seeing you become a businesspreneur of influence. My name is Shalon Douglas, known as Your Code as Boss, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you everyone for attending. Have a good night.